What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Friday Night Madness. It's now or never. It's time. If you got, we all got those teams that are 6-6 or 7-6, and they're just right on the cusp. And the reality is, you got to make it happen now, or it ain't happening. Like you need the win this week when everybody else is on bye and you no longer have your starting quarterback. You got to find a way. So, but pumped to be here. I got a killer crew with me tonight. Somebody's sound is on, but how's everybody doing?
Hey man, it's a great Friday out here in the beautiful state of Pennsylvania. We are about 24 hours away from being Big Ten championship winners in Penn State. So excited about that. We also got some conference championships kicking off here on Friday. So vibes are high. Always a pleasure to be with you here, Tyler. And also a pleasure to be with my guy, Steve Lawson here, another IBT family member.
Yeah, I am super psyched to be jumping on. It's my first time on the old forum here. I've watched it from afar, but got the call up to the show. So it's time to deliver, I think, for the people.
And Amber,
hey, I mean, you guys have seen me. You've seen me on the network plenty. I'm on Wednesday nights, Queen's Ransom, Sundays, Spilled Coffee, and now I get to join Tyler once more here on the forum. So I'm just ready to let's help some people out because I know some of my teams are struggling and some of them aren't. But it's any given Sunday, right? So let's do this.
Any given Sunday. It was any given Thursday last night. Who knew that Green Bay was going to put up that many points on the Lions? Who knew that freaking Josh Jacobs was going to take it in for 3 tutties? Steve, did you have that feeling? Did you know in your gut that Jacobs would outperform both Monty and Gibbs?
Well, I sure hoped that he would because I'm trying to lock up the number 1 seed in my home league, and I was starting Josh Jacobs. I made a big trade for him earlier this year. I traded a lot of good players away to get him, and I have been riding this touchdown wave he's been on. It's been unbelievable. Who knew? It turns out that Josh Jacobs is what we wanted Jonathan Taylor to be all along. So
who are you telling?
Seth's just up there. You can see he's like cringing on the inside.
Well, I'm a guy. I got a lot of Jonathan Taylor. Took a lot of JT at the back half of the first, early second. Same with Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs has been the guy so far. Jonathan Taylor not as much. And I have approximately 0% exposure rate to Josh Jacobs across best ball, across dynasty, across redraft. And I don't even think I've ever bet on him this season. So I've missed all the fun, including last night.
And whoever thought you would have had a Bears fan sitting in that game, just wreaking havoc, raging for the Lions. That was the weirdest night of my life. But that's okay. We can move on from that.
Well, we've already got people popping in the chat. Remember, guys, this is our Q&A show, so drop all your fantasy questions. We're here to help you try to pull that last dub, whether it's locking in a first-round bye or just making the playoffs or even giving you a shot. Some of us are going to we're hoping that somebody loses just so that we can tie, and then we have 5 points more total points on the season to make our jump in. And I say that, Seth, because in the pros with Joe's league, I think you made it over me just over points for.
Same with Steve. I think I beat Steve by 3 points. So that's my first time advancing that far in PWJ. So shout out to my great co-host over there, Dee Dee, who she's been managing that team with me. She's been doing an awesome job and told me who to pick and who not to pick this season. So great event over there all together, and was very happy to not only advance to the postseason but beat both of you gentlemen out. Made it all that much sweeter.
I fully blame my co-manager. I 100% on Erica's shoulders on this one. I will hold none of the responsibility, but I will take all the credit for all the wins.
Sounds like Steve tossing the blame to someone else. I've heard that before.
Well, look, we've already got some questions popping in the chat, so we're gonna hit it. Full steam ahead. And Seth, I know you've been an advocate for the Frisky Jets. And the first question from Austin says, would you rather have rest of season Braylon Allen or Isaac Guerrero?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this one, it hits close to home because, as you know, we have the T-shirts, we have the fandom. New York Jets. I don't know why I've cursed myself as that being my second favorite team, but I have. And this isn't even close. Austin, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate the question, brother. But Guerrero is arguably RB1 rest of season, especially this week. He's got a great matchup coming in. I know a lot of people in their rankings have him right on that cusp of RB1, RB2 territory, going up against the Chicago Bears. And look, dude, like I just don't think you're going to see a lot of Patrick Taylor in this backfield. That's the other running back who's going to see a little bit of work. I think you'll see a little bit of Debo mixed in the backfield there as well, but he hasn't been extremely efficient on the ground in 2024. And look, man, Guerrero is one of those guys coming out of Wisconsin and then transferring to Louisville. He's a rocket. Fastest 40 of all running backs this year. He cashed that 16-1 ticket for us at the Combine. He's got a little pop to him. And the one thing I think we do have to keep in mind is, like, no, this is not the San Francisco 49ers team we thought we were getting. So it's not like, you know, a CMC or even maybe what we were getting from Jordan Mason earlier this season, but he's still locked and loaded RB1. And like Braylon might be a decent play this week, but we've seen them get Isaiah Davis, the other rookie, involved as soon as last week. And then, you know, who knows what happens with Breece Hall. I'm sure Breece will suit up, maybe not this week, but at least a couple weeks for us this season.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, I feel like articles everywhere all week have been Guerrero, you know, just popping. I do like Braylon Allen's upside in that offense. But, you know, I think it is clear cut, like you said. I mean, who else you got? I mean, it's going to be Guerrero and it's going to be Debo in the backfield, and it's going to be 49ers hoping to scrape into the playoffs. GB Chris 21, sad day for Packers fans. It was a sad day for Packers fans.
Pour it out, Chris.
It was fine.
And you know, it was awesome to see him freaking control the clock right there at the end, take the risk, you know, pound the rock and control the fate. You know, let's see, we got Daniel Maldonado. Hey guys from Mexico, who should I start?
Hola.
Only two, Shakir, Jennings, or Keenan Allen. And since there's a bear in there, Amber, I'm going to turn it over to you. No bias.
Yeah, no bias whatsoever for me when it comes to my team. Honestly, for me, Jennings I don't trust Allen, but I don't like Jennings this week. But they are, I mean, this current situation is that they're going to play hard. This is their only chance when it comes to the 49ers. So I think for me, for touchdown upside, you might get Allen, but we can't trust that. So I'm going to go Shakir and Jennings on this one.
So it's funny to hear a Chicago Bears fan. You know, Keenan Allen is on an absolute just terror right now. 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Had 15 targets for 9 catches against Minnesota, 8 targets for 5 catches against Detroit. He goes up against San Francisco, which I know are struggling a little bit in the secondary. I mean, you aren't pulling for your guy this week? What's up?
I mean, he was never my guy, but that's okay. I understand he's been on a terror, but it is still so. Again,
it sounds like it was like a begrudging. So they were like, Keenan Allen's going to Chicago, and she was like, oh, another freaking thing, you know.
I wasn't upset, but I wasn't like, yay. Like, you know what? And I could be completely wrong on this, but I just watching the way that the Bears play, them coming in, I know that San Francisco is going to come out with rage, and I just have a strong feeling that they're going to pull it together, especially with all the tragedies they've had. And I know this is all like on a feeling versus stats, but realistically, like San Francisco is a must-win situation, and I just think that they're going to be able to pull this out against the Bears, and especially being in the Bay. So it's just a situation where I trust in Shakir. Brock Purdy's probably a little bit more healed than he was last week, and Jennings can pull out at least. I know he's going to pull out a touchdown. I think he's going to get at least 8 targets as well. So I'd rather not rely on touchdowns for Keenan Allen. That's all. I guess if you want to play risky, play Allen over Jennings. If you want to play safe, play Jennings over Allen. You know what I'm saying?
Anybody else got a different take on the same page?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as that. Like Keenan Allen has been on a tear, but it has been so touchdown dependent. And I'm not tying my hopes and dreams to that Chicago Bears team. I don't care what's going on. I don't care who they fired until they get someone in there that I think is competent. It's not happening. And Keenan Allen, what a waste of what could be his last prime year. Just an absolute utter waste of time this was for his season. But
So
who knows?
I
Maybe
see
I'm wrong.
Seth-
All I know is I dropped him, and then he immediately blew up. So
So we might need to play him.
Seth's up there like twisting in his seat, like just gritting his teeth, like he doesn't know. What do you got, Seth?
Yeah.
Oh no, your sound. I can't hear you.
And as usual, I don't see eye to eye with Steven. No shocker there. And look, man, I get it hasn't been great for Keenan Allen from a season-long perspective, but over the last 2 weeks, man, I mean, he's been up there. He is pacing as a wide receiver 1 against the likes of Minnesota, Detroit. Obviously, great matchups for fantasy wide receivers. But here's what I think we're missing, guys. Yes, San Francisco is going to be, guns a-blazing, has to win this game. But the dead cat bounce after a coach gets fired, it never fails. It never fails. And Keenan and Caleb and the entire Bears offense is looking way better under Thomas Brown's play calling without Shane Waldron there. I mean, who would have thought a guy who was running JSN 3 yards to the line of scrimmage last year in Seattle would be a bad offensive coordinator? Didn't see that one coming. But, I mean, this is a really good question because these are all close guys, I think, honestly. Like, you could make a case for every one of them. I think you have to start Keenan for the upside. San Francisco been a little wishy-washy in that back end as of late as well. They've been banged up.
I'd like to point out to you that the guy who scored the most points in a game of these 3 is the guy that you're not playing for the upside.
Well, what I was going to say with the issue with Jennings is, like, do we know Brock Purdy's healthy? Because he didn't look healthy. Listen, I got bounced from the freaking Scott Fishbowl this past week I needed 3 points from Brock Purdy to advance. I got 2 from 2 points in a league where negative points don't even count. So like I watched that game. I don't think the kid's healthy. I really don't. So
I don't think he's that good either.
I'm going to tie myself to Josh Allen's arguably number 1 target there. We don't know if Keon Coleman's going to be out there. Doesn't sound like we're getting Dalton Kincaid this weekend. So I'll tie myself to Khalil Shakir. And yeah, give me freaking Keenan Allen, bro. Caleb's balling up right now. What do you think, Tyler?
I want Keenan Allen. I do, and I want it because we've seen, I mean, the touchdown tear, and we say it's all touchdown dependent, but I would argue not really. I mean, you had 9 receptions 2 weeks ago for what? It was like 73 yards and then you follow that up with, I mean, still 9 receptions for 86 yards. Then you had 5 receptions for 73 yards. And an average depth of or average yards per catch is over 10 yards per catch. So you're getting a good balance there, and he seems to be somebody. But the other thing is the matchup. Like, Chicago actually has some defensive backs. Brisker's been good. Like, they have, and if the pass rush gets there, like I just can't get behind. I think the the 49ers can be beaten through the air. I think the Bears are tougher in the air, especially if Purdy is beat up. So I'm hoping for a long bomb to Shakir. I'm hoping that Keenan Allen keeps the train going. But I want to maximize point possibilities. And I do agree with you, Steve. Jennings has been a huge point scorer. It just, I think you're with it, is like this offense is unraveling. Their running backs are gone. Purdy doesn't have time, and who knows what, like, people are like, should I start Debo or bench Debo? And I'm like, I
play Jennings over Debo. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. It's just tough in there. I mean, Kittle. So you're talking about Scott Fishbowl. I need a Kittle to have anything. And he was basically nothing last week, and I know it was a little bit wild game conditions or whatever, but still.
Pretty sure he caught a pass on the first drive, then I don't think he saw a target or at least a reception the rest of the game.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
It was a rough game, especially tight end premium, man. I thought I had that locked up.
I think with the running back injuries, I don't think Garendo is going to pop the way people think they are. I think this is going to be a much more air raid kind of attack than we're used to seeing out of San Francisco.
I actually think Debo's going to get – I mean, they want to get Debo active. They've had him doing returns. They've had him working in the backfield. They've had him in the slot. Like, I think that Debo probably has a little bit more upside in the fact – and I know you just said the otherwise, Seth – in the fact that they're out of weapons. And, like, he's their most versatile piece. And I think they're going to want to get him involved, But who knows? Anyways, I hope that answers your question, Daniel Maldonado. We're going to keep moving. ETN was a big L. Agreed. Rest in peace, Trevor Lawrence. That was a tough game. Austin, start 3. BTJ, JSN, Jacoby Myers, Tyreek Hill, Juwan Jennings. That question is tougher than it looks. Why don't you start us off, Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to take the 3 right in the middle there. I'm going to take JSN. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. And that's the 3 I'd be the most comfortable with. Brian, listen, I live in Boston, and I dealt with Mac Jones for longer than I think any human should have to. And that's like watching him play football is basically a crime against humanity. It's almost an act of war. And then Juwan Jennings, we talked about it. It's kind of a boomer bust play there. JSN's a big part of the Seahawks offense. They throw a good amount. Jacoby Myers is really, besides Brock Bowers, the only pass catcher in Las Vegas. He's been popping since he came back from injury. And then Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill, and he is one touch away from putting up, an 80-yard touchdown. So I'll never sit Tyreek Hill. And then those other 2 are just bigger parts of their offense than the other 2 are.
I'm in full agreement with you, dog. Like I think this is sharp on you. Yeah. I
mean, I think we're
for once in my life, I gotta agree with you, man. Like when you look at JSN, I mean, he's a no start. He's a no think about it start every single week. And Connell, like dog's got a little bit of an arm, at least what we've, better than what we've seen from Gardner Minshew in that offense this past week. So like, I mean, you could argue that Jacoby Myers is, now that you remove the Lions wide receivers, a borderline wide receiver 1 this week as well. So I'm right there with you, Steve. And Miami, like this is what they do. They beat up on bad teams, right? Like they get up against a good team, a team over a 500 record, they fold. They get into cold weather, they fold. They get an opponent who is kind of a dog shit season, and they beat the crap out of them. So yeah, I'm with you straight away.
Yeah, I love that call. And we're going to keep moving. Tony C, need to pick up a defense. Currently have 3 quarterbacks on my roster. Which 2 would you keep rest of the season? What do you think, Amber Alert? Which 2 are you keeping, Goff, Tua, or Stafford?
You have 3. Which 2? I'm keeping Goff and Tua and Stafford. I like the way Stafford's been playing, but I don't think that I'm in completely on. Let's see the rest of their schedule. So Goff for me is it's a must start regardless of how people have been feeling about him lately. But we got Buffalo, San Fran. I think I'm gonna go. I like Stafford better in this situation, just for the rest of the season schedule. I mean, for playoffs, we've got Buffalo, San Francisco, New Jersey. Or I'm sorry, the Jets. We can throw on them. I'm okay with Stafford.
Anybody different? Everybody in agreement on that?
I'm probably dropping Stafford of those 3.
What were the options again?
Goff, Tua, and Stafford.
I'm dropping Stafford. I'm going to keep Tua because when they play in Miami, he can put up points in a big way. I think Stafford's on his way. He's on that downswing a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, it's no shade to the guy. He's had an amazing career. He's an amazing quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but time comes for everybody, right? Like, and it just happens. And he's just not the same guy. And I think a lot of fantasy managers this season have thought of what he was versus what he is. Mm-hmm. And he's not throwing that many touchdowns. He's interception prone. So I'm kind of out on him right now.
Are you talking about Stafford or Kirk Cousins? I was confused.
Copy and paste that. Copy and paste that. This is a really tough one, man. Like my advice to you, Tony, would be, hey, is Drake May out there on the waiver wire? I'd rather ride with Drake May than any of these guys rest of the season. Is Caleb Williams out there? Give me Caleb Williams over these guys rest of the season as well. Like that's kind of where I'm at. The issue with Tua is he has the best strength of schedule, the easiest strength of schedule, I should say, rest of season, looking the Fantasy Pro strength of schedule tool for rest of season. But week 17, I have no freaking clue what we're going to get out of this guy. They're going to be in Cleveland. It's probably going to be cold as shit up there, right along Lake Erie. I've been seeing what it's been doing to Western PA the past couple of weeks. I mean, there's been a lot of snow up in that area. So I don't know what's going to happen with Tua there, but if there was no weather, like you would love that game, right? Like Jameis Winston, Tua battling it out, chucking it back and forth. And Goff, I think, is strong. Yeah, I'm kind of with Steve on Stafford. It's just hard to want to really trust him in my fantasy playoffs. But Amber makes a point that the matchups are there. So, like, do you have any other options, Tony? That is my answer.
Yeah, it's a little nerve wracking, not realizing like what we're dealing with here, because like there should be somebody else on waivers depending on the league.
It's crazy that he has 3 quarterbacks who basically have like cement shoes on too. Like there's no mobility in that quarterback room whatsoever.
He has a type.
And also, should we be concerned about them, easing Goff out when we get a little bit closer? They've already clinched. Like, what does that look like? You know what I'm saying? Are they gonna? What if they start dogging teams out and then they ease them out too? So that's actually another thing that we have to factor in at this point.
Yeah, great point.
Absolutely good takes on that. Austin said earlier, the only reason I asked about Garindo and Brees is because Garindo and Braylon is because Brees isn't playing this week and could miss more time. I agree, and that falls right into Daniel Maldonado's next question is, should I start Braylon Allen or Tracy? And, there's gonna be hype, like, right? If you see an injury, you see somebody like Braylon Allen who has a ton of talent, right? Like actually getting a window, but then, at the same time, it's the Jets. And like, you could easily see this, like somebody come out of the woodwork all of a sudden, like, and start taking those carries away, but it's exciting. I don't know about you guys, with how the season has progressed, I don't know that I would start many people over Tracy. Like, he's been an absolute stud. Anybody different on that?
No. I'm lockstep with you, Tyler. Like, I get Braylon Allen's a fun story. He's had a good rookie season when he's gotten the touches. I think the issue, though, is, like I said, like, they were running out Davis last week as well. They want to see what they have with both of these rookies. So it's hard to get behind Braylon. And dude, like, the Saints are a great matchup. I mean, this is gold.
Oh, yeah.
Over the last month, they are a bottom 9 defense as far as leaking points to opposing running backs. Running backs are having their way on this defense. I know they've been a little bit better since the firing of Dennis Allen, but yeah, give me Tyrone Tracy 100%.
Another thing to remember is that Breece Hall was struggling to put up an RB1 season for the Jets this year. Like, there was some real, like, bad games that he had out there. And as much as I like Braylon Allen, the player, he is not Breece Hall. So, like, there's a real chance he goes out and puts up a dud. Like, it's not like the Jets are setting the world on fire. He's not stepping into a situation you're like, yes, like, I'm so happy my running back is playing in this offense.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like, this is kind of dog shit, right? Like, we're kind of like, oh, God. Like, I'm like, I might have to bench Garrett Wilson for, like, Roma Dunze. Like, what do you mean? Like, the most exciting thing for the Jets right now is this crazy documentary that Aaron Rodgers has coming out where he basically goes on an acid trip the whole time.
I can't wait.
Like,
I can't wait.
Like, I don't know. I'm about to be all out on the Jets altogether. And he's already given them ultimatums. Like, he's in the press being like, if they want me here, then I'll stay here, but I don't think I should have to audition for a job. Like, bro, like, stop. Like, that's what a clown show is going on in New York right now.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I mean, I'm rolling with Tracy there. I think that's pretty set. Albert coming in. What's up, everyone? What's up, Albert? What's up, party people? Appreciate the love. Thank you guys for Zach. Yo. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everybody. So real quick, this is your Q&A show for fantasy football advice going into each week. We're live every Friday at 9:00. And as you know, this show is brought to you by fantasysportsadvice.com, the social media platform for fantasy sports. And so we always take a second to go over and hit some of the questions in the chat. Don't worry if you've got your questions waiting in the queue. We're coming for you. Hang in there with us. But we're going to hop over there and check out what they're asking on the network this week.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to fantasysportsadvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to fantasysportsadvice.com today.
All right, so right off top, we got a question from Huck Ike 0608. He said, I'm looking at choosing between Tua and Levis this week. It feels like it could be a low fantasy scoring week for Tua, while Levis should feast against Jacksonville. So right now I'm leaning Levis, and I'm torn. Which way are you guys going?
Will Levis for me. I don't know what's up with Tua this year. He's a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, and I'm starting to see Levis turn into the guy I thought he'd be, where he uses his legs a little bit more. He's kind of just, they have nothing to lose, right? So he's just going to sling that thing around and see what happens. And that's really where the magic happens. Tua looks like, I don't know, he's a little shell-shocked out there. I'm kind of out on Tua right now.
Not so
I mean,
fast.
I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. I feel like, I mean, I'm with you on Levis too. I'm just worried about interceptions as well. I guess it depends on your scoring, but yeah, I think I'm in on Levis this week as well. Even though Tua has been, I mean, his yards are pretty insane. His points are great fantasy wise. But I don't feel good about this week for him as well. If you have Levis as an option, your next interception, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's not a bad call. Oh, sorry.
I have an echo somewhere.
I think it might be Amber.
Got it.
For me, I would say I'd have to go with Tua. Like, this is we're kind of picking at the bottom of the barrel again, but the Jets have been the second best matchup for fantasy quarterbacks over the past month. We don't know if Sauce Gardner is going to be out there either. That's really going to hurt against a team like Miami, where not only do you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but all of a sudden Jonnu Smith's a fucking weapon too. So yeah, I'm with you there. I guess I'm against you guys. I'm going to go Tua.
All right, well, we're going to roll on to the next one. It's full start PPR. Darnell Mooney or Deebo Samuel this week. It looks like Mooney seems to be the consensus via the poll. You guys in agreement, or do you fight back?
I'm in agreement. I think it's Darnell Mooney all the way. The only situation that this gets better for Deebo is if they switch him to running back. If they don't, then I'm very worried about his production.
This is extremely tough. This is like they're right there. It's
not sexy. It doesn't feel good to pick Darnell Mooney. Let me put that out there, like right now, right? Like, this is not like a fun thing to have to pick. Like, if someone told me before the season I'd be picking between Deebo Samuel and Darnell Mooney, like, we'd be in a fist fight, because I'd be like, why are you wasting my time with this? Like, what, how rude. But that's the world we're in now, where Darnell Mooney is like a borderline wide receiver 1. And Deebo's basically a bench player.
Yeah,
it's pretty tough. I mean, we got Kirk in Minnesota. Like,
that's
like, right. I don't know, right? Like, do we do that at revenge game narrative?
I don't think Kirk Cousins has enough skill left to have a revenge game.
Yeah, I know. I don't even think he would. He's too nice. He doesn't even. He's like, thanks guys for having me. Like, I can just see him now. So, it's tough.
I actually do probably. Yeah, I probably like. Mooney's safer, but maybe Deebo does have more upside, kind of playing into what Tyler said earlier about just not having weapons, having to run him out there in some various formations and different ways to get him guaranteed touches. But, I mean, look, dude, like, this Minnesota defense is pretty fraudulent in their back end. And, yeah, they know Kirk Cousins, but he also knows them. And usually I give that advantage to the quarterback for the most part. So, I begrudgingly, I would roll Mooney. I hate it, but I would roll. I mean, they're bottom 10 over the last month in fantasy points to wide receivers, so just a little bit better.
I'm gonna go out in left field and just say Deebo. I don't know. I hate both the options, but I hope that Deebo. I just see him having to be involved. He's going to be involved, or they're going to take an L. Into the story, be involved, take an L, and they're trying to make a playoff push. You saw last game, they had him freaking, the last 2 games, they had him freaking returning kicks. They're like, we got to get the ball in Deebo's hands just so we have a shot. And so that's the reason I lean that way. You say something sometimes and you get that feeling in your stomach like you're sick about it. It's one of those. Like I'm going with it, but I'm sick about it.
The other thing to remember is that Kirk Cousins, like talk about being immobile, is a statue in that pocket, and Brian Flores defenses, they'll kill you if you can't move at all. He's coming for you, right? Like we know those blitzes are going to be crazy. So it could be a very boom or bust game for Mooney, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets behind the defense on one of these plays and makes some noise.
Oh yeah. Keep rolling. By the way, guys, we're gonna try to make all these questions. Thank you for your patience. We will get to almost all of them, if not most. If you want your question rushed up, you can always hit a super chat and we'll prioritize it. But Jose Rodriguez comes in and says 2 running backs, Connor, Dowdle, Allen, or Garendo this week. For me, I like my instinct is like I want to go with like guaranteed touches, like Connor, like Dowdle, like you want to go with the guaranteed work. The question is the upside for Allen or Garendo really enough to overtake one of these? And if so, who is it? Go ahead, Steve.
I think I'm going Braylon Allen and Garendo of those 4.
You're dishing both the guaranteed RB1 workloads.
So here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. James Conner over the last few weeks has not looked terribly good. On the flip side, Trey Benson has looked more and more and more and more explosive as he's gotten more used to that offense. I'm not sure we're not going to see a time split either this week or in the very near future, especially as the Cardinals are removed from playoff contention, where they want to see what they have in the rookie, right? Now, Rico Dowdle, I know he had like a good game. That is not a guy I want to hitch my wagon to, right? So I'm going to look at the guy who a lot of us were shocked fell in the draft with Braylon Allen. He does have the opportunity. He does have a solid matchup against the Saints, I think, right?
The Bengals.
The Bengals
are. Yeah.
No. Braylon Allen.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
So he's going to have a good matchup. He does catch passes. We've seen him do that. Garendo is just a home run waiting to happen. Give me that high upside, especially if you're on the cusp of a playoff thing. You can't be playing for your floor. You need a ceiling. And I think those two have a higher ceiling than the other two.
So I'm going to be on the other side of the fence here, and I'm going to take some page out of Seth's book and say I disagree with you only on one, though. So Connor has only had 2 weeks the entire season outside of double-digit points. Like even on weeks like where he hasn't, and I'm using standard like PPR format. Even last week, even with a reduced workload, like you can look at Chicago, he did 48% of snaps. He still had over 100 yards. He's averaging over 4 yards a carry on the season. He's, not racking up the touchdowns, but he's also getting the pass work. I mean, you look at the last 2 weeks, you had 5 receptions against Seattle. You had 3 receptions against Minnesota. And then he comes in this week and he plays Seattle. And so you're hoping for those receptions again. So Connor, I want, because I know that they want to get him the ball. And really, that division is wide open. Like it's still open, still open for somebody to take it. So they're not out. Like the Cardinals aren't completely out of contention. Everybody there is just medium wins. I mean, who's running away with it? Nobody.
So you're going Connor and Garendo, Tyler?
I think I'm going to go Connor, and then I think I want the ceiling. I'm hoping for a 80-yard, just split the defense run from Garendo that makes my day worth it.
I would go Dowdle Garendo for me. Top 10 matchup for Garendo. I think the analysis from you guys is spot on. I think he has higher upside, and I will actually pivot away from James Conner, and I will go with Rico here. I mean, they're finally realizing in Dallas like that Zeke is nothing but 2 yards in a cloud of dust, right? Like, like they're finally
they've that all season. They haven't even got a shot. Like, of course, Zeke is a non-factor at the conversation at this point. It's really, can they be effective running the football?
And I think they can, right? Because you look at Cincinnati, the matchup for Dallas, it's phenomenal. This a bottom 5 team as far as fantasy points to running backs over the past month. So they're giving up a ton of rushing yards, and not only yards, but touchdowns. Running backs have found the end zone 4 times over that span the last 4 weeks. So I think Rico Dowdle finds the end zone. You look at the odds too. He's damn near close to minus money at all the books for an anytime. So yeah, give me Dowdle, give me Garendo.
I'm gonna have to agree with Seth on that, just for the same sake of like Seattle. Yeah, no, and honestly, that's where I was heading, because like Seattle and Cincy are literally right smack dab in the same place of what they allow for rushing yards, right, and what their defenses allow. So again, with Dowdle being involved in the passing game, that's super important, especially leading up into our first week of playoffs, right? Depending on how your playoffs are structured, like this is really important stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go Dowdle and Garendo as well, because we know that San Fran's going to try to run the ball as much as possible, and he's going to be involved in the passing game. So,
yeah, Jose, Rico Dowdle's not that great, but like compared to everything else in that backfield, he is phenomenal. Like that's kind of that's
not. They'll have a new running back next year. Just
Ash and Genty, baby, sign it up. Let's go.
Austin said Herbert too. I think we covered that. Everybody seemed a little washy on Tua, so I mean, I'm rolling Herbert. We rolling Herbert.
Don't. He balls out against the Chiefs. I don't know what, like literally since his first start, I think was against the Chiefs, and he's just been he has their number. So yeah, don't overthink that one, man.
Don't, seriously, don't.
So 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex, Lamb, AJ, Evans, Puka, and then Jonnu or Ingram.
Okay. So I think
Evans is an automatic for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the answer is pretty clear. I think it's AJ, Evans, Puka, and then you start Jonnu. That feels kind of cut and dry.
Smooth.
Doesn't it hurt to say bench Lamb?
No, not
that reality. No. Are we here? I don't think is this what the world's come to right now?
He's hurt by his own admission. He's not feeling good.
Yeah, he's hurt, and the Cowboys, man, like they're still just trying to run the exact same offense they were running with Dak Prescott, and it just doesn't work with Cooper Rush. Like at this point, bring in Trey Lance. Like let's see what the fucking kid has, right? You spent a 4th round pick to get him last year, Jerry. So yeah, I think you guys are dead on. I got to give Steve some flowers for once too. And Steve called out Jonnu Smith as we do a segment each week on the podcast called In the Scope, where we do waivers a week early. And Steve was on the Jonnu train early this season. And I mean, you look now, dude, like Jonnu Smith's like tight end 5 on the season. And it feels like he's not stopping anytime soon, because you just can't guard him when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Achane in the backfield that you have to worry about. So, I mean, it's been a revelation for Jonnu Smith. Shout out to him and his whole family, man. I'm sure they're having a great holiday season.
It's about time too, because like this dude's an athletic freak. Like you look at Jonnu Smith and like how fast he moves and everything like that. I've always wondered why he never popped off. And
yeah, that one, he had like a 7-8 game stretch in Tennessee where he kind of did, and then he got the bag in New England, and they just like hated him, even though they gave him a shit ton of money.
They gave him a ton of money, but they also signed Hunter Henry at the same time. Yeah. And then they were like mad, and it's such a Belichick thing to be mad that he doesn't block. And I'm like, that's not what he is. Like, why isn't he a good inline blocker? Well, why do you think? First off, he's like a 6'2", 6'3" tight end. Like he's not built like Gronk. But Belichick was just so antiquated. It was so dumb. And then we all owe Arthur Smith a little bit of an apology, because we're like, why is Kyle Pitts not getting any fucking targets and Jonnu Smith is? Well, Kyle Pitts still isn't getting any targets, and Jonnu Smith's like setting the world on fire.
Here's the thing I honestly want to ask us all with like a straight face. Do we know Jonnu Smith is not better than Kyle Pitts as a player at this point?
No, we don't. That's what I'm saying. Like we all like wanted to kill we were burning that we all ran him out of Atlanta, like actively. Like we're all
the fantasy
for his
football
firing.
Community. Yeah.
And like he was like, I don't care what the fantasy community thinks. And I wish he just came out right on set and said Jonnu Smith is the better player. Like you're getting it twisted. Kyle Pitts is not the tight end 1 in Atlanta. Jonnu Smith is, and that would have made everything a lot easier. But I don't know. Something's up with Kyle Pitts. I think he just needs to get out of Atlanta at this point. Like, start somewhere fresh.
I just think we all...
You know where he needs to go? Cincinnati. Cincinnati could use him well.
Oh, that would be Well, I say that, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
What else do we have here, Tyler? Unless you have anything else on this question.
No, it's a good take. I would say I'm loving the banter. Make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe. We might have to get this crew back again. The vibes. I'm gonna use Seth's phrase. The vibes are high.
They are high.
The vibes are high. I'll come back and hang out with you and Amber anytime. I already have to deal with Steve once a week, though. I don't know how many times I can do twice a week. I might need a little reimbursement for that, or at least a case of beer or something, Tyler.
Hey, I got you on that. Bush Light, right?
Yeah. I see light tonight, but yes, you're usually dead on.
So I got to start 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers. I got Nakua. Let me put these together on the running. So I need 2 running backs. We got Bijan, Tracy, Garindo, Pacheco, Swift, Braylon Allen. I need 2 wide receivers. I got Puka, Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Judy. So let's start running backs. I think Tracy's up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your number 2?
Bijan.
Yeah.
Oh, Bijan's there too. Yeah.
Wait, where's Bijan? Okay,
yeah. It's in the middle of these.
okay.
Threw us off a little bit.
Bijan Garendo for me.
Bijan and Tracy for me.
Bijan Tracy for me.
I'm gonna have to go Bijan Tracy as well.
Come on, Amber. I was really starting to like you.
I know. I thought we were together on that one. It wasn't easy though. Like you heard
I got a pretty illegal take for this wide receiver though. I'm going Puka and then I'm going Jerry Judy.
Same. Oh my god.
I don't think that's a bad.
Let me tell you something. If Jameis Winston is starting a game, I'm starting Elijah Moore this week in one of my leagues, and I'm doing it happily because Jameis is having the most fun he's ever had playing football right now. He doesn't have a care in the he don't
Lord
care how deliver him from interceptions, but from pick sixes. But you know what? Other than that, he's doing what he does. He is truly the most unique quarterback of all time. There's never been a quarterback like Jameis Winston. He is the fantasy players quarterback. That's what he is. It's so fun.
Jameis was that player, even back when he was in Tampa, it was throw it up. I'm just going to throw it up. I'm going to throw long bombs all day, and my wide receivers are going to make plays, or we're going to get picks. But I don't care. I mean, that year he led in touchdowns, he led in yards passing, just chunking up. He led in interceptions. He had almost
one of 7 players ever to throw for 5,000 yards. And I'll tell you, I went to Florida State at the same time as Jameis Winston. So I got to meet him a few times. This is not an act he puts on. This is him all the time. He is this fun-loving dude. I've played basketball with him a few times and stuff. He is a really very bubbly dude. He just lives life for the fun of it.
Yeah, you
he
can't
really
fake
is
that shit.
He is all about the vibes. He's there for the good time. He's here for a good time. And
I watched him try to interview a fish with a microphone on a boat, and I was like, I love you. You're I was like, what is happening?
So I will say this: Neighbors is banged up. He might not even play this week. So
hasn't scored since week 3.
Yeah,
hasn't had a good fantasy game, or at least an elite difference making fantasy game since that time as well.
So you need a home run. I think Judy has a huge ceiling. I mean, how many yards did he go for last week?
245.
It's crazy. So
tons of possibility. He might get shadowed by Joey Porter Jr. in this game against Pittsburgh. That's the only thing to keep in mind.
I don't even
Judy
care.
did that's how I think the fantasy community as a whole feels about Judy this week, and he did get the best of Junior last time they did play against each other. Not too many people though are going up against JPJ and getting the best of him every week though. So just kind of temper expectations. I still think you're right on the take here, Steve. I still think it is Nakua and Judy, but I just think we need to temper expectations just a little bit because Joey Porter Jr. is a fucking dog.
I don't think it's a Joey Porter Jr. thing. It's that Jameis Winston just doesn't care. Usually it's quarterbacks that avoid, it's quarterbacks that avoid cornerbacks. Wide receivers don't avoid them. Jameis Winston, he will throw at him no matter what. He'll throw at him just because. I mean, it doesn't matter. And, Pat Surtain was getting cooked last week, and he's better than Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, it's a good point. Fair point. Fair point.
Love it. Southern Dad's Game said, "Can I see how disappointed I am that Jaden Reed watched the game last week instead of played it?"
Brother.
I started him in
one out.
Scottish this week, yesterday. That was
No
tears. Yeah. So
talk about a guy who he will finish. I mean, he's going to finish probably close to wide receiver 1 territory. But when you look at the consistency of Jaden Reed, it's been god awful. He has absolutely hurt you a lot of weeks. So
he is touchdown dependent.
People are going to look back and see, oh, he was wide receiver 13 or 14 to end the season. And then you start looking at the game log, and there's a lot of zeros and 2s and 5s and non-double digit PPR points.
It was right. Yeah. Up until when Love got hurt. And then after that, it hasn't been. I mean, there's been no clear wide receiver 1 on that team, So
yeah. It's pray.
Yeah.
That's right.
Put him in and pray.
Put him in and pray. So, one of the reasons, the Giants have the Saints week 14. And, one of the reasons that we play Tracy is because of that. So how you feel about the Saints defense this week?
Bad.
The Saints defense is struggling.
Yeah.
He said, would you play them or the Titans D?
Who are the Titans playing again?
Jaguars. Yeah.
Oh, the Titans.
The Titans 100%.
I'm playing Titans.
I think I'm playing Titans too. Yeah.
Especially Mac Jones, Titans. Yo, Zach.
Titans are actually a good defense. That's the thing. They're actually a good defense.
He said, in my flex this week, Rico or Chuba?
Chuba.
Rico.
Chuba.
Yeah, I like Rico too. I
don't.
Two fumbles in the last 3 games. For Chuba, I'm coming off his worst fantasy performance since. No.
I don't love Rico. I don't love Rico, but I lean Rico in this conversation, and this is why. It was really interesting. I said I started Chuba in a ton of my fantasy leagues last week, and so when I do that, I tend to lock on that game. And so I watched this game, and Carolina wanted to get Jonathan Brooks involved. And I have to say, Jonathan Brooks looked better with the football in his hand last week than Chuba did. And fresh so, for me, at fresh legs, sure, absolutely. But, going in off of a bad performance, going in where you saw, Jonathan Brooks look good and get a good bit of work. What was Chuba's snap count this week? It was down.
It was down. So 79%, but Jonathan Brooks 21%, but he got 9 touches on his 15 snaps. And that's what really elevated, I think, him. And the thing about Chuba that makes me want to go away, because I still think he's going to have 70. Right. You want to run right into Jalen Carter, who is making a case for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, this guy's a freaking monster. I mean, all NFL general managers who picked inside the top 10 of the 2023 NFL draft, you should just be fired for letting this guy fall to Howie Roseman again. I mean, how every single year, I mean, we already saw it. Sorry, I don't mean to go on a rant, but we saw it this year with Quinyon Mitchell and then Cooper DeJean in the second round. Howie Roseman puts on a clinic every May. So I don't want Chuba running headfirst into Jalen Carter and company. No, thank you.
When it comes to two guys that you're like, on either, right? I usually lean toward who's more talented. To me, that's Chuba Hubbard, and it's not close.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is different, though. The bigger you're going to get a bigger snap share from Rico, potentially more touches. Again, a way better matchup, Steve. Way better.
But Rico Dowdle, it doesn't really matter about matchups to me because he's not good enough to take advantage of them. Right?
He's been plenty good this year to,
Has he been plenty good or has he been all right? Has he just been better than what the Cowboys have?
He's been all right.
Right? Let's not pretend like Chuba Hubbard wasn't the RB1, an RB1 for the entire year except for last week.
Look, Seth's riding high on the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, Rico, he had 19 carries for 86 yards. And then last week he came in 22 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. He's averaged over 4 yards per carry both weeks. He goes against a weak defense this week against Cincinnati. And I think that's the only reason he wins. Chuba more talented, 100%. I think it's matchup. I think you have Jalen Carter, and then in the second level, you have Nakobe Dean. Both are playing lights out this season, and it's going to be really hard for that offense to get going. It's going to be hard for that offense to get going, period, this week. The Philly is playing top-notch defense. They started out the season rough. They didn't look that great at the beginning, but they have picked it up.
They're tightened up for sure.
I think that's the separator. I agree with you, Steve. Chuba is the better player, 100%. But I think that the matchup just doesn't allow him to excel this week.
Rico RB17 over the past month, Chuba Hubbard in that span RB23. So I just can't go back to the well.
So we got Tootsie Pop coming in. Appreciate you. Another Bears question for Amber. Amber, pointed to you. DJ Moore, Tyrone Tracy, or Rico Dowdle in a flex for my guillotine league.
You guys are going to laugh because I was just going to say Rico just to be a douche. But no, DJ Moore, there's no question there for me on this one. Like, we know that DJ Moore is still the number one target there for Caleb Williams, and obviously they're playing much better. So Keenan Allen still played really well, but DJ Moore I trust.
I like it. I like it.
I think I'm still going Tyrone Tracy.
I'm also going Tyrone Tracy.
Was Rico also in that question?
Yes,
he's always playing from behind, and they're going to have to sling. He's going to have to sling it, and he's going to have to sling it to somebody, and it's going to have to be DJ Moore. I mean,
how does everyone have Rico? How did everyone get Rico? I want more.
Yeah, you got to remember there's 6 teams on bye. Like everybody's searching this week.
Yeah, I'll take Rico again.
Oh my god!
No, I wasn't asked. That wasn't a question to me, but I'll take Rico again.
It was Rachel from Unwind. I'm sure you're familiar.
It's because we knew you were going to say Rico, and there's no way you're starting Rico over Tyrone Tracy playing the freaking New Orleans Saints. Like you're this doesn't happen. I'll tell you what. If Rico outscores Tyrone Tracy, I will bring you a case of Busch Light to the expo.
All right. Yep. Okay.
Oh God.
I got you a bottle of whiskey, my friend. I got you a bottle of bourbon, man. Let's do it. Let's put it in.
Herbert, Wilson, Winston, or Levis this week. I know that Steve let out his fandom for Winston. Are you starting them over a Herbert or a Wilson that just came off a 400-yard, 3-touchdown game?
Yeah. I am. I'm still taking Jameis Winston in this case.
Dude, you're on crack.
I'm still starting. What did Jameis do last week that showed you he couldn't put up points? Why are you questioning?
Because there's TJ Watt and Nick Herbert.
There are 2 people in this world I acknowledge, and it's the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, and it's Jameis Winston, my fantasy god. So, I will never sit here and disparage Jameis Winston, the fantasy player. I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to win the game in real life. I still like Jameis as a quarterback in real life. But as far as fantasy goes, it's not like the Steelers have been like a shutdown team against passing offenses anyway.
They're pretty good.
They're all right. They're fine. Jameis Winston doesn't care. He's an anomaly. He's emboldened by good defenses. He just kind of spits in the wind. You know what I mean? He doesn't really care, and that's what I want. Give me that guy who has that 40-point upside that really none of these other guys have right now, and I'll take it.
In fairness, in following Steve's point, you look at last week, Jameis threw for 4 touchdowns. He also threw for 3 interceptions, but he threw 58 times for 34 catches, 497 yards. Listen to the last 5 games. Okay. Baltimore, he threw 41 times. Chargers, 46 times. New Orleans, 46 times. Now here comes the rub, right? Pittsburgh, week 12, he only threw 27 times for 219 yards and a pick. It was one of his worst games all season. Minus the charge. The charge was a little bit less or a little worse than that, even though he still threw 46 times. And then last week, 58 times. So they're letting him throw, but it seems like Pitt had his number.
Well, also that was the snow game too, though. So that's where we have to.
Yeah, it was a snowstorm.
We have to
But
put
they
that
just
into
saw him
play.
2 weeks ago too. And do you really think Mike Tomlin's going to let the Browns get the best of him
Right.
twice
I
in
don't think
one
they're going to get the best
season?
of him. Again, I'm not picking who's going to win the game.
You're going for fantasy points, right?
I'm going for fantasy points. And Jameis Winston's going to put up fantasy points, and not for nothing, but he already beat them. So, like,
I mean, he
Jameis
should.
isn't scared.
Well, I'm going to segue this a little bit because we got some banter already this week between Greg Newsome and George Pickens. And I just have this feeling that this game this week is going to be a bit nasty.
There's going to be a fist fight. There'll be a fist fight.
I'm ready. I'm ready for it. And for me, it's like I would play Herbert or Russ. Like, take your pick. I think they're both low end quarterback ones here. Wilson, I think, has the best matchup of this entire lot we are presented with at the QB position. Browns have been leaky all season long. They do have some good pieces. They got Myles Garrett. They got some good cornerbacks as well. But Russ has been excellent, and Herbert also, as we mentioned earlier, has that great history against Kansas City. So pick one of them. If Ladd McConkey's not going to play, I'll go Russ. If Ladd McConkey's in, give me Herbert.
I want to revisit this question because when Jameis Winston outscores everybody, I want a formal apology, Seth.
Write it down. Write it down.
Like,
I already owe.
I mean, you almost convinced me here where I'm like, I don't know, man. This division, I can't do it with a divisional game.
You got fucking Amber looking in the mirror at herself right now.
I am. I'm like, who are you? What's happening?
All right. We got another one coming in.
Dowdle again and Tracy.
Everywhere.
they're
So
everywhere.
Jason, Tracy, Dowdle, Braylon Allen, or Jennings, pick one. And then Saints defense or Seahawks.
Oh, I mean, this is easy for me. It's JSN and Seahawks for sure. Easy peasy.
I'm taking Tyrone Tracy and the Seahawks defense.
I'm taking
Against
Tyrone
Arizona?
Tracy and the Seahawks defense.
Against Arizona? What do we?
What do you mean against Arizona? What the hell is Arizona scaring you for? They suck too.
They have games. It's like a roller coaster, though. They just had their down games.
Didn't the new Call of Duty just come out? Kyler Murray's not interested in football right now.
That was
You
like a
can't
month
see over his
ago.
offensive line either. You're right.
Yeah, and the Saints let everybody with talent on their defense roll. You know,
They don't. There's no one with talent on the Giants' offense besides Malik Neighbors who's not going to play. So
And
and
Tyrone Tracy.
okay, yeah, one guy's not taking them down. Give me JSN Saints defense. Come on,
Whoa. Not
Whoa.
sure what happened there.
Yeah, I was like,
Our
ah.
takes were,
Wow,
our
all
takes
right.
were a bit too hot there.
Yeah, I know.
I
You should
thought
like
I got
no.
kicked because I disagreed with the lot there.
I thought you should have been kicked because that was a garbage take. But
Wow, wow.
Hey, I'm with you for the most part, Seth, on that one. I don't know. I'm sorry, JSN.
Streamlabs basically mic dropped on us right there.
Yeah.
Man, what a show. We're gonna wrap it up there. We are hitting the hour mark, and guys, lady, thank you so much for tuning in. If you would just share with the audience real quick where they can find your content, where they can connect with you if they want to check out some of your stuff. Just start us off, Seth, and we'll go clockwise.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me over at inbetweenmedia.com, also on the Inbetween Media YouTube channel at IBT_media here on YouTube. I also host the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast, as well as the Betting Pros College Football Podcast. So you can catch me over there on those channels here on YouTube as well. And we like to have fun. We like to help people continue to win championships. But hey, we also like to have make everyone have a good time and, really enjoy why we're doing this. So Tyler, thank you as always for the opportunity. Steve, great to see you tonight. Amber, great to see you again as well. Thank you for your presence.
It is so good to see you and you guys in your resumes. They're amazing. I'm here right here on the network. You guys can find me Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. You can find me that's Central. And then Sunday mornings, your Start Sit show, Spilled Coffee with Wishlist and Kyle and the gang. And we're on at 10:30 until 12. So a full hour and a half of my beautiful face. Also, if you look down below in this video, you're going to see some brand new merch, guys. And it's our entire merch line is out. It's ready. It's on sale. It's 20% off site wide. And it's free shipping with orders over $99. We've got a little bit of something for everybody. There's some real fun stuff in there. We've got women's, we've got hometown heroes. We've got a nice Tears shirt for you for Bears fans. For me, that's just for me. So check it out, guys, because the sale will not last forever. Neither will all of these items. So get your Christmas stuff, please. And thank you, Corey. Tyler, you're Corey now, by the way. And then Seth and Steve.
Oh, it's changed. That's so funny.
It changed our names.
So I'm gonna pop this up here. We got
Yay.
the merch store is live. There's that Tears sweater that Amber was talking
That's
about.
great. That's great.
And this has been a good one, a Chiefs refs kingdom, because we know that's the only reason they've won games this season. Lots of good, not just fantasy football advice network stuff, just some fun shirts and some great Christmas stuff in there. Amber's done a great job with it. Make sure you guys go check that out. Steve, tell them where they can find you.
I work for that goober up there. I work for Seth. I'm over at IBT Media, In Between Media. I do a lot of their entertainment content. I do fantasy football stuff as well. You can find me on Twitter. I'm at Steve_Lawson93. I need to get rid of that 93. It's starting to show my age a bit. I'm starting to feel a little bit old. But you'll find me at In Between Media, hosting a whole bunch of different podcasts, jumping on bullying Seth when he lets me on the podcast every other week. And I'm just really excited. Thank you so much for having me here. It's my first time on the show, and hopefully I haven't given so many bad takes that it's my last.
Well, we're going to have one more question for the night, okay? And it is a doozy, and you have to answer it in 10 seconds or less per person. All right? And we're going to go over to the Fantasy Sports Advice Network for this question, and it is from Captain Borchia. And let me just actually zoom this in here so you guys can see it a little closer. Kareem Hunt, Ray Davis, McCormick, Trey Benson, or Roshan Johnson. Who do you think will produce more half PPR points rest of season?
Trey Benson.
Trey Benson.
Gosh.
I'm going Trey Benson. He's the most explosive and talented out of the bunch.
Kareem Hunt, I think he's still gonna have somewhat of a role. It's gross, but him or Ray Davis. But give me Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I'm going Kareem Hunt. Macheco still broke his leg, so.
I think Connor's just going to get in the way of Trey Benson, really getting that work. And while I do think he's an electric player, I think Ray Davis continues to make a name for himself in that offense.
It's true.
And, especially in the red zone, like when they're trying to pound the rock in from the 10, it's Ray Davis time. And he's been making it happen. He's been getting it in there. And I like Ray Davis. I also love the Trey Benson call. I'm going either of those two. I like Roshan, not this year. But rest of the season, it's going to be Davis or Benson for me. Make sure you go check out Fantasy Sports Advice Network, fantasysportsadvice.com, and sign up. It is free to sign up, and you can hang out with us and talk football anytime you want. It's always a blast. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next week, 9 o'clock Central Time from the Forum. You have a good night, and we'll see you later.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com.